Howdy folks, Doc here from Last Best Tool, and today what I'd like to do is turn a 1/4 inch snap-on small flex head ratchet. This is the TKF72, and turn that into a 3/8 inch ratchet. So basically take the guts out of here and put in 3/8 guts and end up with this. Now, why would I want that? Well, one of the reasons, it's sure pretty amazing when you can have something like this. Look at that guy, little tiny speeder with a big socket. This is 19 on here. Other things I can do if I'm working with hex heads like this one. Sometimes with a larger socket or a larger ratchet, it's easy to overdrive these and strip out bolts or kind of make a mess of things. But when you've got a small one like this, you can actually get considerable torque. I mean, that fits really nicely in the hand and keeps you from over tightening something because you've got a really good feel. But and they do make a 3/8 in there now. But we're going to take this 1/4 and turn it into a 3/8. And the way you do that is you buy a couple of parts. Here's the high-tech explanation. You need 2 parts. First, you need this RKRFC72 3/8 parts kit, which looks like this. It's basically the guts of the small ratchet. And then you need a cover plate, and that's this guy. It's the FC72-2, and this thing is just this plate here. I'll show you on this ratchet, just that plate, but you can see it's quite a bit bigger than the one that comes on it with the standard 1/4 inch. And then here are the prices I paid straight from Snap-on for the two. So this is a $21.55. Snap-on makes a bunch of different styles of ratchets, and first of all, before you swap any heads out or guts out, you have to make sure you have the right one. If you notice here, these all have very similar, actually identical, cover plates and guts, and the way you can tell is by the screws that hold it together, whereas this one here doesn't. So you can see the difference between those two. This one has a smooth back and screws up on the inside, and this one has the screws on the outside and really smooth here. So you have to have the right parts. They're different size heads. Snap-on also makes small round heads. I'd love to have a 3/8 in this form factor. This is just a really sweet little ratchet. And here's an old one. This is like a, I don't know what this is, 36 tooth maybe. And this guy has got the old parts on the inside, and all you can do is put old style parts in it. I wish they made a converter into like a 72 tooth socket or ratchet that you could drop into one of these guys. It's got a mark on it. I had my Snap-on dealer swap out the guts. I don't know if you take it in again, maybe they give you a new one because it's gone through 2 cycles. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is convert this into this. So let's get working. Now the first thing you're going to notice is that it's got a screw, combination screw Torx head here, or attachment, the fasteners. And the problem you'll run into is it's a T9. And what I did when I started looking for T9s, went to my Klein set, which I do like. No T9. Went to my dedicated Torx bit set. No T9. I even went to my big Snap-on set. This is the 237 Hex Torx ST kit. Goes from an 8 to a 10. No T9. So I dug around in one of my boxes and found my Snap-on T9. So, good to go. I do have a few other T9s, some Craftsmans I keep floating around. And then I also have the ability, if I wanted, if you look closely at this, you can get a screwdriver in there. So it is possible to operate these fasteners here with a screwdriver, but it's a little bit gutsy, I think, to be going after it, depending on how tight it is, because it's such a small screwdriver. But you can do it. So let's go into this thing. I'm going to use my T9 here. Pop these out. Now, one thing I like to do, I keep lids from various jars around so I can have one handy to work in, catch small parts. It's really cheap, and sometimes I don't want to use a magnetic dish because it's sometimes possible to magnetize parts, or some parts are not magnetic, and when they aren't and you think they are, then you end up tossing the part around because it didn't stay in the pop this guy out, didn't stay in the container like it should. So a couple of things here. We've got, here's the back plate, and on the back plate there's often a rubber O-ring there. I'll set this one out here. Here's the guts of it. So what do we have? We've got a tiny little spring here that goes inside this rocker, which holds the selection lever in place, and then this is where it grabs. So I'm going to slide out the 1/4-inch ratcheting part, and then here is the little spring teeth that engage this ratchet wheel, and then here is the cover that holds the selector switch in place. We've got to wiggle that guy out. There it is. Just that little thing. And then here is the selector switch, and notice there's a tiny little ball bearing in that. So I'm going to dump those two things out. There you go. It's still nice and greasy because this one's a new one. Go ahead and put all the pieces in there. That little screw or spring jumped out of there. So, okay, now what we've got are the pieces here. I'm going to use my shop scissors. These are Milwaukee, and I absolutely love these guys. Super nice. They make two styles. It's kind of a standard straight shear, and then this one here is designed because of its flat side to cut along a longer, flatter piece, so you'd operate it along this way, whereas this one's more versatile. Anyway, so let's dump our pieces out, and we'll reverse this. So here we go. Do I have my ball bearing somewhere? Luckily I've got an extra in here if I need one. Okay, so here are the pieces, and I'll put them in this blue dish. Might be in there. Now, Snap-on includes this Super Lube grease. It's a synthetic grease with polytetrafluoroethylene. That's the PTFE. This stuff's great. In fact, it's so great that I buy it like this. There's Super Lube. So I don't have to use this little small piece. I've got a big chunk of it here. See, same synthetic grease with PTFE. So let's go ahead and put this back together. First of all, I'm going to make sure I get the O-ring into the cover plate. I don't want to forget that as the last step. Alright, then what you do is you take the selector switch, and we need to drop that in. I might go ahead and put just a touch more of this PTFE in there. By the way, PTFE, very similar to Teflon and similar to Gore-Tex. If you've ever had like a Gore-Tex parka or something, it actually has a membrane inside made of polytetrafluoroethylene. And what's so amazing about Gore-Tex is the pores in it are so fine that water can't get through, but air can, and that's how it works. That's why it can breathe, but not leak, or it keeps water out. Yet there we go. So you can have it both be waterproof and airtight. Okay, looks like they updated that, got away from the ball bearing and put a little pin on the top. All right. Okay, so now we need to drop this guy in. And this piece here is going to act as the rocker. Let me get these out. Whoops, there we go. So what I've got is that piece. I'm going to go ahead and drop this in now so I can get these pieces to stay put. Get the switch in, get that in. Then I'm going to put these rocker teeth in, and if you notice, there are some little tiny posts here, and those little tiny posts need to drop down into these little tiny openings right here and here. So if we take this carefully, we can get this thing to kind of sit in there, and then we'll align it with the other piece. Haven't done one of these in a while, so pardon my thumbs. There we go. Drops that in. Good. And it actually, this thing got turned too far, so I need to loosen it and rotate that. There we go. Drop it down, line those up, and hold them in place. How do you hold them in place? Well, we're going to drop this piece in right here. And notice those little wings, those sit down in the hole there, or in those little kind of Mickey Mouse ears right there. And then what? We're going to flip this back and forth, kind of test it out. Whoops. Pulled that too hard. So now I got to do this again. Drop that in. Center the switch at the bottom. Drop those ratcheting teeth. Come on, get in there. Not as hard as I'm making it. There we go. So that's nice and good right there. Then what do? I'm going to drop this detent in right here, and the pin goes down. I mean the detent ball goes down. And then here is the plate, and I've got my 2 screws left. So I slide that over and press straight down so that spring is compressed evenly. I'm going to hold this on and test it. So all is good. Then I'm going to drop this screw in and snug it a little bit. I don't want to tighten it until they're both in. And I'm going to test the mechanism again. Oops, magnetic. I've got a Klein demagnetizer that I need to run that through. Okay, I'm having a little bit of resistance. There we go. You don't want to strip any of this stuff. Okay, so let's test it out. Snug both down a little bit. And flip the lever. Perfect. Alright, there we go. Then I'll just finish tightening these to my moment of torque. Good enough. Alright, there we go. All done. So now I've got the coolest little 3/8 inch flexible head ratchet. Encourage you to try that. And that's it right now. I think that's about all. Alright, have fun. Doc out.